Sorry, I think I've got it. Now, maybe I need to repeat for purposes of those who will be listening to the recording. That the paper has two sections, section A and section B. Section A has two questions that have part A and B, and section B also had two questions that had parts A and B. The net effect, there are 40 marks in section A. And the instruction read, answer both questions in this section, the two questions. Then we had section B of the paper. Section B had 3 questions. And the instruction read, answer any 3 questions. So that for section A, with 40 marks, you do not have any choices. You answer all questions. Then for section B, a section B that has 60 marks for you to earn, because you're supposed to answer 3 questions of 20 marks each. But the questions in section B are questions 3, 4, 5, and 6. That then therefore means that 1 question in section B is optional. So you will do 3 questions and 1 question is optional. We start with section B, section A. What is there in section A? Section A, we are given questions to attempt, 2, and we are to answer all. Question 1. ABC Company Limited has employed Rehab as the human resource assistant. Identify the key management principles that she is likely to use. ABC Limited has employed Rehab as a human resource assistant. Identify the key management principles that she is likely to use. Principles of management. Margaret, where do you derive the principles of management from? Margaret? Margaret Gishuki. Principles of management. Where do you derive them from?
I think I can name them.
Okay, go on. Okay, go on.
Yeah, we have planning. Malemo?
Go on, Margaret.
Yeah, organizing, staffing, directing, and coordinating.
Margaret, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Has given us the key management principles as planning, organizing, directing, coordinating. Anybody else with a different opinion? This class is a revision class, so hakuna mtu ajui kitu hapa. Caroline. Caroline?
I'm on the road.
Oh, you're on the road?
Yes, excuse me.
Can I attempt?
Yes, Gladys.
Okay, maybe they are not the ones, but it's somewhere I saw principle of integration, involvement, and cooperation. Where do they belong?
Sorry?
I'm saying,
Yes.
hello, there is somewhere I read. Are you getting me?
Yes.
I'm saying there are some principles I saw as I was doing some revision. The
Yes.
principle of cooperation, involvement, and integration. I don't know where they fall in.
What Margaret gave us were the functions of management. Planning, organizing, leading, staffing, controlling, directing, etc. But now in appreciating the principles of management, the principles of management that we use in modern day management is a principle emanating from one of our writers of the late, is it 19th century? Who gave us 14 principles of management? What are the 14 principles of management?
Henry
Who was the
Fayol.
writer?
Fayol.
Henry Fayol.
Henry Fayol. So we are asked to give principles of management that Rehab is likely to use. There are 14, but maybe as a HR assistant, she may not use the 14 of them by virtue of scope of work. So which are the 14 principles of management?
One is authority and responsibility.
There is division of labor, there is authority, there is discipline, there is unity of command, there is unity of direction, there is subordination of individual interest, remuneration, degree of centralization, scalar chain, equity, stability of tenure, and esprit du corps. I don't know if you pronounce that. I didn't study French anyway. So these are the 14 principles. So I want us to, the examiner expects you to select a principle that fits in with the role and responsibilities based on this person's level as a human resource assistant. So which principles will apply? Not all the 14 principles. There are those that she may not use by virtue of level or scope of work.
I think one of them can be discipline.
Discipline, expound?
Yes.
Yes. For the principle of discipline, we are saying you as an employee, you are coming in, you have the organization's rules and regulations in place, and you must work towards observing the rules and regulations of the organization at all times. Another principle that she can use
esprit de corps.
Yes.
Esprit de corps.
Expound and say. What does it mean?
Esprit de corps. Teamwork.
Yes, what does it mean?
Teamwork, working as a team.
Teamwork.
To work together with others, in cooperation with the others.
So that Rehab should be encouraged to, or will be expected to be working together and helping in maintaining team spirit and working together with other members of staff in the organization. Another principle?
Principle of exception.
Sorry?
A principle of exception, which says that management should not interfere, top management should not interfere in things go wrong.
Sorry, I didn't get that right. I don't know if is my network or yours. Try again.
I'm saying
Yes, principle of
exception. Say that management shouldn't interfere when things go wrong. Manage.
I don't know if it is my connection that has an issue, but I didn't get you right. Who can attempt another principle? There are 14, surely. We cannot.
Okay,
You cannot.
there is a principle of equity.
Principle of equity.
Yes. I think LAHAB should treat all people equally.
Yes.
Fairness, and nobody should feel low, or it should reward people equally as the employee work and treat every person as a human being, or treat them equally.
Impartiality in terms of how Rehab will treat employees. Fairness in treating each and every person. Any other principle? Wengine wanadhani wananyamaza, nitakubali hakuna. Jacqueline.
A definition of tasks. The principle of definition of tasks, where she gives everybody a job description.
HR assistant. Is that a role?
Yes.
The reason why we are given Rehab as a HR assistant is so that we appreciate our scope of work. It is not within the scope of work for HR assistant to issue job descriptions to staff.
Okay.
That would be prepared by the head of the department. The HR assistant can be given a pelekea huyu job description yake, but sio yeye ametengeneza.
So.
Yes.
Can I try?
Yes, another principle.
Can I try one?
Yes, go on.
What about the principle of order?
In terms of?
In the organization, that the right people are in the right place, doing the right thing.
So there should be order in the organization that will allow for smooth operations, for smooth functioning, that we have people in the organization with the right social, who operate in a manner that maintains the right social and moral order, so that work takes place, work goes on as intended, as envisioned in the structure. Another principle that is within the scope of work of Rehab as a HR assistant.
Mwalimu, can I try?
Yes.
Division of labor.
Division of labor.
Ensuring every staff is doing what they were employed or what they are specialized in.
Is that the role of the HR assistant?
There's a way that she can play that role.
How? Just expound a bit. HR assistant ni mtu wa chini huko. Is one of the lowest in the chain in the HR department. So the principle is right, but the role of the HR assistant will not go to the extent of dividing what is to be done. You can talk about initiative, that as the HR assistant, she may be part of the employees in the organization who come in, encourage others, they work together with others to come up with new ideas, new ways of doing things, so that we can constantly have improvements in terms of how management operates in the organization. There are other principles that may be outside the scope of the work of the HR assistant. Authority, that a manager must be authoritative and give orders and directions. That is right, a principle of management, but maybe not at the level of the HR assistant. For Rehab, we can talk about unity of command. That the principle will require what? That an employee takes orders from only one superior, because if there are multiple heads from where the instructions will come, then the employee may likely to be confused and may likely to have conflicts at the workplace. So there are 14 principles of management, but just select 5, identify the principle, and then expound on it for you to get 2 marks. Notice the total mark is 10. So every point you will have 2 marks. Identification of the principle and expounding on it will give you 10 marks. Question, clarification?
I just felt like I don't know whether it applies.
Yes.
Subordination of individual interest to common people. Common good, yeah. Employees should foster equity and equity.
You're mixing up.
To make employees feel equal in the organization.
You're mixing up 2 things, huh? In subordination of the individual interest, here we are saying the manager or the employee, in this case Rehab, when they are working, they should ensure that it is the interest of the organization that is given preeminence, not their own individual, selfish individual interests. So where the individual interest and the organization interest are competing, then you subdue your individual interest at the expense and focus on the organization's interest. If you have a side hustle, you cannot have a situation where the side hustle takes preeminence over your primary job in the organization. Question B says what? One B, I want us to move a bit faster. Margaret, 1B. Who can read my screen? 1B.
It says the success of organization.
Victor, are you able to read my screen? Question 1B.
Can you hear me?
Margaret, yako imekataa.
I can read.
Jacqueline, can you read 1B?
Yes. The success of an organization depends on the leadership style used by the management. Explain the different styles of leadership adopted by organizations.
That question, every question has a stem and then the question. The success of an organization depends on the leadership style used by the management. That is a stem. So explain the different styles of leadership adopted by organizations. So yours is to appreciate, or the step is supposed to guide you. We are now in question B, we are on leadership styles. So there may be various questions that may arise from leadership styles. So what the examiner is asking you is just explain the different types, different styles of leadership adopted by organizations. Which leadership styles do you know?
I could start with participative.
Participative.
Or democratic.
Participative or democratic. Another one?
Autocratic.
Autocratic. Another one?
Authoritarian.
Laissez-faire. I am sure the pronunciation is not right. Those of you who did, is it French or which language is it? Laissez-faire. Then the other one?
Authoritative.
We've said participative. We've said authoritative. We've said laissez-faire. Which other one is there?
Transformational.
There's transactional. Then there is situational. Some of the main leadership styles adopted by organizations. So what is participatory leadership? Participatory leadership is a leadership approach where all the employees of the organization are invited by management to be involved in decision making, in initiating action, in laying out plans for the activities of the organization, where employees present ideas and management sits down to review, and then they incorporate the employees' ideas into the plans of the organization so that they have participated fully in decision making. There is a laissez-faire approach to leadership. The idea is what? As a leader, when you adopt this approach to leadership, you go the hands-off leadership approach. But the danger of this approach is you are likely, as a leader, you are likely to lose touch of what is being done, what is happening in the organization. Also, when you adopt this approach, some people may be confused and may not know what exactly is happening, what to do, and they bring confusion and inefficiency in setups within the organization. You can also adopt the autocratic approach. Autocratic approach is a leadership style where it is characterized by an individual who has and exercises total control over the group or the team or the individuals who they are working with, so that he makes decisions. He determines which are the ideas to pursue, he makes judgments, what is to be implemented with limited or no regard to what the other members of the team feels. That if you look at autocratic leadership, it may succeed in terms of focusing everyone's attention towards pursuing the set goals, but it has limitations because if there are any weaknesses in the ideas proposed by the leader, then that is what will pass, and there is no chance of the team members participating in improving, giving the directions on what or ideas on what can be done to improve the approach, the way things are done in the organization. Also, when you go autocratic, you lack the support of, you may lack the support of the team members because like they're intimidated by you, your ideas and suggestions will carry the day, and nobody wants to tell you when the king is naked. They dictate everything that is to take place. Excuse me, I answer a phone call here. Apologies for that. The other approach that we have to leadership is situational leadership. And this incidentally is one of the approaches that works best for many people. That we live in an environment where things change constantly, and you want a leader who can adapt and can suit whatever situations keep obtaining in the organization, in the industry, etc. That situational leadership is relevant because as a leader, we want somebody who can adapt to situations as they arise in the day-to-day world that we are dealing with. That when there are any challenges in the business environment, situational leader should be able to evaluate, assess situations, and propose workable approaches, come up with the best alternatives to cope, to deal with the situations as they will be obtaining. That you are able to bring in experts from various areas to bring ideas, and then building on the diversities, you're able to make the right decision. The other one would be transactional. These are leaders who are out there to come up with schemes that are geared at attracting their followers. They come up with reward schemes or punishment schemes for those who are not able to toe the line as to what the leader is looking for. They focus on the day-to-day transactions of the organization. The 5 leadership styles. So as you attempt this question, you are supposed to go, what is the leadership style, and explain briefly, small explanation in maybe a paragraph of that leadership style and what it entails. You must convince the examiner that you understand that leadership style in details. Don't just autocratic. This is an autocratic leadership approach, and you expect to get 10 marks. You may get 5 ticks, but 5 marks or less, not the full marks. Question 2. Who read for us? Question 2. Nani atasoma A?
I can read.
Go on.
Many organizations rely on budgeting during the excursion of their programs. Explain the importance of budgeting as a planning tool.
Budget. What is a budget? A tool for planning. A budget is a statement that is prepared both quantitative and qualitatively to dictate the activities to be done over the period under review. All organizations, all entities must budget. So when you budget, what happens? You set out the activities to be done and how they will be financed. Look at government. Government budgets and sets out its programs, the programs it intends to roll out over the period, and the sources of revenue to finance those expenditure programs. At household level, you budget. At individual levels, you budget. Departmental level, you budget. Every sphere, you budget. So many organizations rely on budgeting during the execution of programs. Explain the importance of budgeting as a tool of planning. Importance of budgeting. Suggestions? Why is budgeting important? Millicent? Stella?
I can say once a budget is communicated to everyone, they are able to understand and prioritize the direction the business wants to take.
Once a budget is prepared, you're able to understand the direction the business will be going on.
Yes.
Anybody else? Seraphine, another point? Importance of budgeting as a tool of planning.
It assists with the proper utilization of resources in terms of laying down what to be done and what resources to be used.
Proper utilization. Anybody else? Budgeting, John. John?
Yes, Ari, how are you?
Thank you.
Budgeting, it's a tool for allocation of resources.
Allocation of resources.
Scarce ones.
So in planning, you are setting out the activities to be performed. So that you know for the, say, government will know for the next year, these are the activities we intend to roll out. So why is a budget important? Number one, the budget will give an estimate of the revenues and expenditures, and therefore will restrict, will control operations to be in line within the budget. Number two, a budget will be useful in terms of prioritizing which are the critical areas, the strategic areas in which resources should be channeled to ensure that the strategic objectives of the organization are actualized. You cannot budget and forget your key strategic areas of focus as an organization. A budget, number three, will help in communicating and prioritizing what everybody in the organization to understand which are the areas, priority areas that the business will be focusing on over the budget period during the implementation of programs. That if, for example, there's a shortage of staff in the public service, Teacher Service Commission, if it was not budgeted, it is not possible for the commission to recruit new staff. A budget, when it is during the preparation of the budget, it is expected that you will involve as many employees in the process so that the employees also will get to share in the vision of the organization. They understand where the organization is, where it intends to do or to get to in terms of its planned activities. So that shared vision in the organization, because we've involved staff in the planning when we are when we are preparing the budget. A budget also you will be using to review your performances, where you will compare your actual performances against the budget, the revenues that you targeted to raise, against what you actually raise as, say, KRA. Then they find out what are the variances and what are the causes of the variances. These are the number of items you intended to manufacture versus the actual that are manufactured. Then you explain, you account for the discrepancies and variances. Benefits of the budget as a tool of planning. Question 2B. Somebody? 2B?
To be, delegation is an important aspect of management art, which may cause managerial failure when is not appropriately carried out. Propose 5 ways in which this failure can be overcome.
Reread it again, please.
Delegation is an important aspect of management art, which may cause managerial failure when it is not appropriately carried out. Propose 5 ways in which this failure can be overcome.
Delegation is about what? The manager has the activities to be undertaken well specified, well rolled out. Who is to do what? But the manager determines that you cannot do everything. You cannot do everything, therefore, you share the load with other members of your team. So the examiner is telling you in the STEM, we're saying that delegation is an important aspect of the management art, but it may cause managerial failure if not appropriately carried out. So propose 5 ways in which the failure can be overcome. So before you propose how to overcome the failures, can you maybe attempt to address the first bit of the question, where it says delegation is important, but it may cause managerial failure if not appropriately carried out. Why? Why will delegation cause managerial failure? Because that is what you are using to propose ways. If you don't know why you are doing something, you cannot propose solutions. So why will delegation lead to managerial failure if it is not properly carried out?
I think that proper authority and responsibility should be clearly stated and given. And also it should be clear on the chain of command for communicating the particular activities that are being done.
So why
so that
delegation
chances of failure?
Sorry?
That will reduce chances of failure.
So delegation will fail, one, because of factors such as what? If
delegation,
the subordinate who has been delegated some responsibilities to perform is not capable or lacks the capacity to, that is bound to lead to failure in delegation. The subordinates lacks capacity, therefore they fear. You fear committing mistakes. You don't have that confidence. So if you are delegated to, you are likely to fail. 2, we are looking at lack of proper controls. When you are delegating as a manager, it doesn't mean your subordinate will do everything. You must keep in touch with the performances of the subordinate. That is why you will have budgets. You will have standard cost of operations determined so that you can use this to assess and evaluate the performances of the employees to ensure you can control what they are doing. Without it, you will delegate but fail. Delegation will fail because of overconfidence of the superior. Why? That you have situations where the superior the manager in this case has no confidence in their employees, so that they concentrate everything on themselves. They feel the employees are incompetent, that the employees are not able to deliver. So the manager has accumulated all powers and is overconfident about his abilities, but does not trust his juniors to deliver. So if he attempts to delegate, they will fail, because you have a low opinion on your subordinates, that they are not able to make any proper decisions on any matter. Delegation fails if the superior, the manager, you attempt to delegate, but you don't want to delegate everything. The manager may lack the ability to know what to delegate. The manager may lack the competence to determine the areas to delegate, and that compromises the delegation process, resulting in its failure. Delegation may fail because of lack of the right temperament of the supervisor. That if the manager is very conservative in nature, he's unlikely that they'll take risk in delegating authority to their subordinates. There is always a feeling, what if I delegate and something goes wrong? You are constantly worried that if I delegate anything to these people, they will not manage to hack and make the right decisions. You are not certain they will handle the risks that may arise in the course of their work. They will not be able to make independent decisions. So that if you as a manager, you lack the temperament, then that becomes a barrier to effective delegation. Our question reads what? Read it again. Nani alisoma?
It's me,
Yes.
Stella.
Go on.
Delegation is an important aspect of management art, which may cause managerial failure when it is not appropriately carried out. Propose 5 ways in which this failure can be overcome.
So now that you understand briefly what is delegation and the factors that may lead to limitation in terms of effective delegation, what do you propose as the remedies to ensure we do not fail when we delegate? Haraka haraka tuendelee, we are still in number 2.
Can I try?
Yes, please.
Mwalimu, can I try?
Yes, go on.
Okay. The 5 ways in which this failure can be overcome: 1, clear goals. There has to be a clear goals that the manager requires an employee to achieve or to attain. That's point number 1. Point number 2, the manager should ensure that the right personnel is delegated the right responsibility, which he or she is talented in. That one, you'll overcome the failure. Then 3, I want to help me the third one. The manager should retain the authority as much as he delegates. That one will ensure that the failure is overcome. Don't delegate the authority also. Delegate the responsibility, but retain the authority so that there'll be the staff who has been delegated the duty will have the limit. Lastly, which is the fourth one, that there must be proper checks and balances mechanism, whereby as much as you have been delegated, but there's proper control system to check how best you are performing the task you have been assigned. Thank you. I can point the fifth one.
Thank you very much. Any addition? Clarity of goals. Don't delegate everything. Even if you delegate, you retain, you are still wholly responsible. So the authority over must still remain with you. I gave you the example last time of when there was a fire at the airport that burned down one of the terminals. The first person who went home was the CEO of Kenya Airports Authority. Yet nowhere in his job description is he supposed to be putting out the fire. Nowhere is he supposed to be driving the fire engines. But when there was a fire at the airport, the first person who went home was the CEO. Because as much as you delegate, you cannot run away from the responsibility that goes with the role. Anything else we can add? I don't want silence. I want participation from the members. Then you benefit from this interaction. If you're just silent, you're waiting to write notes. That doesn't help you. This is a revision session. Because when you are discussing and points are coming up, things that you thought you knew maybe can be clarified, you can be corrected. Maybe you thought that was a point which in reality does not necessarily fit. We talked about controls. Do you have control systems in place? Do you have a budget? Do you have operating standards in place that even when you delegate, you know that this will guide how these people will be working and you succeed? That you know the control systems are in place, you will succeed. Have you empowered your subordinates? You empower them, they can make decisions. And so long as the decisions have been made in the following the right manner, the right approaches, you support them fully. You fail as a manager in delegating. There are some of these managers that they may delegate, but if things go south, then they throw their employees under the bus. That is not it. You must empower these people, but the people must have confidence in you that should they make a mistake, you will be able to support them and help help them to improve going forward. So appreciate the concept of delegation, appreciate the challenges that come with delegation, then you can begin to propose what can be done to remedy, to address the limitations emanating from delegation.
I think we can also add effective communication in it.
Speak up a bit, sorry.
Effective communication. How the manager communicates the tasks to be done.
Effective communication. What do you want done? If you've not communicated effectively, then they will not get it right. They will not manage to do it. But if you've communicated correctly, is clarity in communication, then everyone knows what is to be done. You've delegated, and the person who you've delegated to is able to roll with the areas of focus without any problem. Section B. Answer any 3 questions from this section. Question 3. Who will read question 3A? Stella?
Question 3A. Managers group jobs based on a criteria that they believe contribute to effective coordination and control of activities. Identify 5 criteria for grouping jobs in an organization.
Manager, notice that this is answer any 3 questions from this section. You don't read question 3A and start answering. Look at 3AB, 4AB, 5AB, 6AB, and determine the one you can best attempt that will yield you the most marks. You can attempt all of them, but there's no point you attempt a question you will get 5/10 or 5/20 when there is, or 10/20. When there is another question, you could have gotten 18/20 or 20/20. So by first reading the question, internalizing and selecting the best, you are being asked to attempt. So this question, 5 criteria for grouping jobs in an organization. That for effective coordination and control of activities, you want to be able to group jobs. So identify 5 criteria for grouping jobs in an organization. Grouping of jobs, what are we talking about? Grouping of jobs, what are we talking about? Yes.
Could it be about departmentation?
Grouping of jobs is about departmentation. That organizations will be able to categorize and group jobs in a manner that the management feel will maybe yield the best results to the organization. What is some departmentation is about some logical arrangement that the management wants to come up with, that the management thinks they will group jobs to achieve the intended objectives. How they will be able to group jobs in a manner that will enhance efficiency with which the work performances are undertaken so as to achieve the objects of the organization. So the process of grouping jobs is also known as departmentalization. So we are being asked by the examiner to do what? 5 criteria for grouping jobs in an organization. Which criteria do we have that you can share with us? Hizi vitu mulisha soma.
By function.
New what?
By function.
By functions.
For example, marketing, HR. To put so that it's more efficient if one function is working together, but meeting the same objective of the organization.
So functionally would be where you group jobs by functions. That activities are grouped, things that are to be done together that require the kind of same range of knowledge and skills are grouped together, and they are handled in their respective department. It calls for specialization in your area of focus so that you get it right. You will group jobs, IT jobs. You will group accounting jobs, manufacturing jobs, HR together in functional areas, so that you will have departments, the production department, HR department, marketing department, HR department, manufacturing, all these departments based on functions. Number B.
I think you can also group based on.
Pick up, sorry.
You can group based on the level of tasks. For example, if it's clerical jobs that are cross-cutting, you can group those together. If it's operational jobs, you can group those together, even if they are cross-cutting in terms of departments.
So you look
Is that
at
clear?
The roles and categorize them accordingly. Number 3.
The skills required.
The
skills required.
Departmentation will primarily be in 5 levels. Number 1 is the functional that we've discussed. Number 2 is the product, where you group jobs based on the various product lines, so that each product line is assigned a manager and there's clarity as to who is responsible for what product. That when you group jobs based on department, then you will have, if it is a manufacturing entity that deals with various products, I don't know the structure. Supposing, say, you are to go to BIDCO and they want to adopt a departmentation or using the product structure, what they will do, maybe there will be a department that deals with the edible oils, these Bahari and those other oils by BIDCO. Maybe there is a department that deals with the solid fats. Maybe there is a department that deals with detergents, so that the soaps and those detergents they manufacture, they may have their department. If they have any edibles they produce, maybe there's a department that deals with that. So that you've categorized your departments based on the products dealt in the company. I'm not saying that is how BIDCO is structured, but I'm saying supposing the departmentation was based on product. Category 3, departmentation based on customer, where you group customers according to their type and you make assumptions that these customers with their different types have unique needs that will have to be met differently. That these people who do sales, you will deal with the different customers differently. That you may categorize your customers as maybe a department that deals with retail customers, another department that deals with wholesale customers, maybe a department that deals with foreign customers, maybe another department that deals with, if you trade with government agencies, maybe you have a unique department that just deals with governmental agencies because of their bureaucratic nature of operation is totally different. So you can departmentalize your organization using customer base. Departmentation can also be done using geographical location, where you look at the various geographical areas and deal with them because they have their unique needs, their unique operating demands, so that when you go for geographical departmentation, a good example of a company that has geographical departmentation is Coca-Cola. That Coca-Cola is headquartered somewhere in Atlanta, in the US. But it has departments. It's a department that deals with, is it Africa, or is it Middle East and Africa? Another one that deals with Western Europe. Another one that deals with Pacific regions. Another one that deals with Asia. Another one that deals with Latin America. Because these are different continents, but the needs in those continents are probably, because the customers have some similarity. So maybe they grow their, or they categorize their departments geographically. So you will have the manager responsible for Middle East and Africa, the manager responsible for Latin America, the manager responsible for North America. That is departmentation that is made based on the geographic regions. Even in the country here, we could have a departmentation made, done based on, maybe you can have Coast region, you will have North Rift region, you can have Central, you can have the Lake region. You will find these regions have some unique attributes and should be treated in a unique manner. The needs of the customer. If you go to Kisumu, you want to drink soda. It is almost the norm. They will give you the 500 ml that we call Madiaba. But here in Nairobi, rarely will you go to an establishment that they will give you that as the primary soda. You go ask for soda in Nairobi, you'll be given the 300 ml. But if you ask for in Kisumu or those other sides of the country, the standard would be that 500 ml, the Madiaba. The regions have unique attributes. So if you categorize them like that, then you're able to answer to the needs of those departments. Then there is a process departmentation where you categorize departments based on the various processes that you have in your organization, and rather than focus on, say, the geographical region or the products that you are dealing with. Under the product departmentation, you basically want to call for specialization in terms of the processes that you will be dealing with, so that you will have your salespeople dealt with uniquely because of what they are dealing with. It speaks almost a similar language in some aspects to the departmentation, where the functional departmentation, but you go a step further and break down, because you may have a situation where you maybe have the head of the company, then there are various functional areas: engineering, production, marketing, finance, etc. But within the engineering, there are other processes that are unique in that area. Within engineering, maybe there are people dealing with electrical, there are people doing mechanical, there are people doing civil. So you categorize your departments based on these unique processes within the broader functional area, which is engineering. We go back to our question. We must remember we are answering the question. 5 criteria for grouping jobs in organization. So how do you group? Functional, geographical, process, product, and what else?
Customer.
Customer. So each you briefly explain. Functional, departmentation, then you explain briefly. Small paragraph. Well done, beautifully written. The examiner is smiling when marking your work. But don't force the examiner to look for points. Question B. Stella?
Effective performance appraisal scheme offers a number of potential benefits to an organization. Outline 5 such benefits.
This time is what? Effective performance appraisal schemes offer a number of potential benefits to an organization. So what is performance appraisal? If you don't know what it is, you cannot start telling us what are the benefits. So what is performance appraisal? Anyone? Gladys? What is performance appraisal?
It's a way you are evaluated in your workplace or in an organization by your manager or your supervisor.
Go on.
And maybe you are rated by what you are entitled to do in that organization, the work done. And now you are rated.
So performance management, performance appraisal is within the broader framework of what we call performance management. That performance appraisal is a management tool that we'll be using to obtain feedback regarding the performances of our employees. We want to be able to determine how effectively or not the employees were able to deliver on the targets, the objectives set, agreed at the beginning of the process. From the appraisal, depending on how the employees, the feedback obtained, we're able to then set targets for the next performance period. We're able to discuss, these are the enablers that made it possible for us to easily meet and surpass our objectives and targets. Or these are the challenges that we encountered which hindered us from meeting our objectives and targets. This is what we need to do to better meet our targets in the next period. That from having such a system, you are able to then use the results of the appraisal to set performance targets for the next period, or to look at rewards. How do you want to reward based on an assessment of performances of the employees? So the examiner is appreciating the importance and saying that effective performance appraisal schemes offer a number of potential benefits to an organization. Outline 5 such benefits. So what are some of the benefits of performance appraisal? All of you are appraised at your workplaces, so musininyamazia hapa.
Yeah, one, you can determine employee productivity.
Determine the employee productivity.
You can also determine use of resources, appropriate use of resources.
Determine the appropriate use of resources. Anybody else?
It focuses employees to work towards a common goal or a common objective.
Focuses employees to work towards that common goal objective set. Anything else?
Can I add something, Mwalimu?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. I know I'm enjoying the lesson, though I'm here for quality assurance, but I'm very happy. The lesson is so nice. So
no, you are part
also
of
be a student.
the class.
Now, it motivates the employees, because those employees who are working hard, the management is able to realize their potential. So by realizing, identifying their potential, it motivates them. So the key word here is it motivates the employees who are hardworking. Then another one, it also helps organization to institute corrective measures, so that when corrective measures has been discovered, then it will lead what my colleague was saying, proper utilization of the scarce resources to attain the objective of the organization. Thank you.
So
we can say also.
Sorry?
We can also say.
Yes.
It helps an effective performance appraisals enables the identification of training areas.
So how the individual performs, you had been set targets. You struggled to meet these targets. So when you sit to review your performances with your supervisor, then you say, maybe the reason why I didn't meet these targets, I did not know how to do ABC well. So you identify some deficiencies in skills that can only be corrected through training. So training needs, and the manager can also propose what courses to pursue so as to grow and develop the employee. You are able to determine who are the performing persons who can be promoted, transferred, rewarded accordingly based on their performances. Performance appraisal systems are useful for organizations if you're looking at getting the best talent out there in the market. High performers, high flyers. These are people who are keen on organizations that will recognize their attributes and reward them accordingly. So they'll look for you and join your organization, helping you in recruitment. You can manage employee expectations. You can roll out merit-based compensation schemes when you have a performance appraisal system in the organization. And by adopting such a scheme, you are able to influence the individual performances and the performances of virtually all members of the organization, because you know your targets and you're working towards meeting these targets, and you know you will be appraised in the final analysis. Benefits of appraisal. 4A, Stella?
Goal-oriented management is widely practiced in management by objectives. Explain the benefits of management by objectives to an organization.
Goal orientation is critical. Setting goals and working towards achieving these goals. So goal-oriented management is widely practiced in MBO, as proposed by Professor Drucker. So explain the benefits of MBO to an organization. Management by objectives, where some of these concepts, if you know them well, you can briefly explain to the manager, to the examiner rather, what is MBO. Demonstrate your understanding of the concept, so that once you get explanation what is MBO briefly, then you get to the benefits. The examiner anakupea tick hata bila kusoma points zote, because anaona unaelewa ni nini unasema. If he has some points are not very clear, normally in football, those of you who know what football is, there's something we call offside.
Yes, Malim.
There's an offside rule that for a long time has been that if the referee is not sure, the linesman is not sure whether the attacker is who scored the goal is offside or not, if it is not cast in stone, then the advantage is given to the attacker that he was not offside.
Yes, I can try.
Go ahead.
Now, the students, you see, goal-oriented management. You know, sometimes you don't need to know the question, but you can, the way Mwalimu has said, you just need to use common sense and be goal-oriented also. So when you talk of goal-oriented management, you know, any organization which has been formed or which has been established, or any institution which has been established to offer any services or to perform any task, there's a reason why it has been established. So that reason why it has been established is what we call the objective. So when you are managing the operations of this institution, you ensure that you concentrate on the objectives. You don't go outside. Let me give an example. We don't need to go on social character of an employee after workplace, that you are now managing an employee where he's drinking his alcohol, where he's having his leisure. But you are supervising this employee when he's performing his task, which you delegated him to perform in order to achieve the objective of the organization. So in summary, the word management by objective, this is just a situation whereby the management ensures that the supervision, the overall control is directed towards the attainment of the goal that the organization is supposed to achieve, or why it was established. Thank you. We can now go ahead.
The goal is clear. You know where you are going. Once that clarity is there, then you ask, what are the objectives that you want to address? So you set those objectives, and in everything you are doing, you keep making reference to the objectives. Am I on the right path or not? So what are the benefits that would accrue to an organization when it adopts management by objective? You have your goals and objectives clearly stipulated, and you are working towards meeting those objectives in your day-to-day work. What benefits will accrue to the organization? Iko wengine hawajaongea, class karibu inaisha. Carol?
I can say that one of the benefits is consistency in objectives for all the departments and clarity. Consistency and clarity for all the departments.
You are talking about what? There is the objective you are pursuing. You are working towards achieving these objectives. So it's likely to ultimately lead to improving my steamer as imepotea.
Now, another one, there's high productivity.
Yeah, it's
high
true.
Productivity, when you are managing by objectives, there'll be high productivity. 2, there'll be effective communication. 3, there'll be motivation of the employees. So you can add another one. Gladys?
We get efficiency.
Good. There'll be efficiency.
Yeah, of the employees, because
Yes,
now they are able to, they are geared to the objectives.
That's true. Because you realize that there'll be proper utilization of the scarce resources, so there'll be efficiency. Mwalimu, are you back? He has not muted. He has muted. Mwalimu, unmute.
Sorry, stima yangu imepotea.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I have had to
sorry,
do some gymnastics. But
okay, we were going on, Mwalimu.
No, it's okay.
So I just brief you. We have mentioned 4 points, huh?
Yes.
Explained that efficiency will be due to proper utilization of resources.
Yes.
Because all efforts are directed through goal attainment.
Yes.
Then 2, there'll be high productivity. Then 3, there'll be effective communication because all communications are directed through goal attainment. Then 4, or John, can you remind me the 4th one? John Arimi?
The 5th, it's a 5th one.
With high efficiency and high productivity, there is also more revenue generation.
Yes, good. More revenue.
Thank you for stepping in. Stima imerudi, but the internet connectivity will stabilize later on. I'm still using the phone. So also, no role ambiguity. When you have clarity of objectives on what you are supposed to be pursuing, there is no ambiguity why you did not perform, because you are clear on what is supposed to be done. Improved communication you've talked about. Then also control. The management is able to exercise control over employees. Can also use it as a tool for career development of employees, because employees know that they are in this area and these are the objectives, and we set you targets and objectives, and we come up with training needs and opportunities that can help you develop and grow and become better in your area of specialization. Also, when you do MBO, then you're able to come up with results-based performance appraisal, because everything is based on results, not just your feelings or sentimentals, but based on results, results-based approach to management of the staff and their issues. Stella?
Yes.
B?
Share your screen, please.
Please share your screen.
Oh, it's not shared. Sorry. 4B.
Mr. Mamboleo, a manager at Kaluiti Company Limited, has the tendency to use nonverbal signals when addressing the employees. Identify 5 nonverbal communication techniques that he can use.
Communication. Have you done communication as a unit? Is yes or no? Have you done communication as a unit?
No.
Not in PPM, in CHRP, or in an earlier program you did. Did you do communication? Yes, you did.
Yes.
Even right now you are communicating. We are communicating, right? So we are being asked that Mr. Mamboleo, a manager at Quality Company Limited, has a tendency to use non-verbal signals when addressing employees. What is communication? Being able to pass whatever information you have, get feedback. Then you know there is communication that has taken place and effective communication at that. So what are the nonverbal communication techniques that Mr. Mamboleo can use? Nonverbal communication. What nonverbal communication techniques do you know that we can use?
Gestures.
Gestures. Hand gestures.
Eye contact.
Eye contact.
Facial expressions.
Sorry?
Facial expressions.
Facial expressions. Anything else?
Nodding the head.
When you're talking, you're nodding the head. Anything else?
Body language, such
Body
as
language. Naingia tu naona hapo, unajua leo manager ni mkali. Leo hakulala vizuri. Today is in a friendly mood. Anything else?
Fidgeting.
Fidgeting. Non-verbal communication. Even the position where they are sitting in the room alone can tell you. You walk into an interview room. Must you be told who is a chair? You just look at their sitting position and you will know who is chairing the session. Non-verbal communication. Are you welcome or not? Nobody has to tell you whether you're welcome or not, but just non-verbally you will get the answer.
Mwalimu, even silence is non-verbal.
Silence. We must not always be shouting. At times, silence alone communicates everything you need to know. So for communication, you need to appreciate the process. what is the communication process from identifying who is the sender, who has this information to be communicated. What is the idea that he wants to communicate, to pass across? There is an encoding of the ideas. There is a channel of communication that is to be used. There is the receiver, and is the receiver able to decode the ideas that are being communicated, and then the last in the process is feedback. So this communication process you need to understand, from the sender, the idea, the encoding, the communication channel, the receiver, being able to decode this and offering feedback is important. So there is for verbal communication, and then there is non-verbal communication. So for this, the examiner asked us about the non-verbal communication. Question 5A was about what? Stella? Stella is lost. Non-verbal communication.
Yes, it's setting. Said.
Sender.
And encode the message.
Encode the
There was an
message.
idea.
Choose the channel of communication.
The channel, correct.
There is a receiver.
No, before receiver.
No, see, it was the channel of communication, then the receiver.
Yes, the receiver is there.
Then
And
decoding.
the decoding.
A decoding, correct. Now, what is
Then
the difference
feedback.
between Mwalimu? Mwalimu, are you back? Now.
Yes, I'm back. I'm back. Sorry, but the steamer in Irudi, then I was trying to reconnect to these are the most stable network.
Yeah, when you were away,
yes,
we have just looked at the order of communication.
Yes.
We have looked at send, encode, channel, decoding, receiver. So you can move
feedback.
from there.
Then
feedback,
give
yeah.
Feedback.
Correct.
Thank you so much. Stella, 5A.
Okay. Frederick W. Taylor's Principles of Scientific Management forms the fundamental practice of modern management. Explain the 5 principles.
Frederick Taylor. In question 1, we were dealing with Fayol and his 14 principles. For Taylor, is a proponent also of scientific management. That for Taylor, he has 5 key principles. Which are these? Anybody? For the organization to succeed, we have to do things in a structured manner. So that Taylor is a proponent of the scientific approach to management. That number 1, he talks about, let us focus on management as a science. And we want our organization to succeed, to excel. We have to operate our organization as a science, not a rule of the thumb to substitute scientific analysis of work. That decisions that are made by managers should not be subjective, but should be based on scientific analysis. That is why in modern management we are told data is king. Base your decisions on data that is generated scientifically. So principle number 1 for Taylor: let us manage with science, not rule of the thumb. We have always been doing it that way, and that is how we will continue doing it. Principle number 2, according to Taylor, Taylor advocates harmony and not discord. That for us to succeed as an organization, the primary driver, there has to be harmony between the workers and management, such that any conflicts that may arise are eliminated, because they will be detrimental to the success of the organization. That both the managers and the subordinates should recognize and appreciate the important role each play in the broader scheme of things in the organization. Therefore, we look at how to operate and work in harmony and eliminate any discord at the work. Principle number 3, he talks about mental revolution. That the attitude of the workers themselves towards the management, towards each other, should be one that evolves towards full cooperation. That both parties, the management and the workers, are on the same team. That you want to be able to revolutionize their thinking, that they are all working towards the success of the organization to earn the desired profits. That a complete change in the outlook of the workers and the managers, they are together working towards earning profits. Then I gave the example of that congressional team that went to NASA and found a sweeper. Then they asked this man, "What are you doing here?" NASA is the American Space Agency. Don't confuse it with NASA, this one of ODM locally. And then the sweeper tells the Senate congressional team that was at NASA, that I am here to help take man to the moon. But what is he doing? Sweeping. But he has internalized the vision and mission and reason for existence of NASA. That he knows, in my own small way, I'm working towards taking man to the moon. That is a mental revolution. We want the messenger should know that when he's delivering those letters and bringing invoices and seeking checks, he is contributing to profits of the company. Principle number 4 talks about cooperation and not individualism. It's basically an extension of the harmony and not discord that is required at the workplace. Principle number 5 talks about development of each and every person to their greatest efficiency and prosperity. So that managers should identify each person's potentials and work towards developing these so that we get there. We achieve our potentials and our abilities. Those are the 5 principles of management as expounded by Taylor. Stella? 5B.
Strategies must be carefully evaluated because even the best product will fail miserably and opportunities may result in bankruptcy. Identify 5 industry forces according to Michael Porter that managers must consider when formulating a strategy.
Michael Porter, when you're doing strategic management, you must look at the study of your market, your industry, so as to appreciate the dynamics in the market forces that can affect how you operate, leading to your success or failure. Michael Porter came up with his 5 forces to help us in strategy formulation. That according to Michael Porter, organizations exist and you want to excel to have a competitive edge in your industry. So Michael Porter was trying to find out what approaches can an organization use, what kind of framework can an organization use to be able to build and enhance its competitiveness so as to achieve the best desired outcomes in their industry. That you must understand whatever powers you have as a business. Then you explore the opportunities, you take advantage of the opportunities that exist for you to be able to better deal with the market, to better take advantage of these opportunities in the market, in the industry that you are operating in. So Porter has 5 market forces that affect your strategy formulation. These are summarized as what? There is number 1, the threat of new entrants into your market. There is the bargaining power of buyers in your market. There is a threat of substitute products or services. There is a bargaining power of suppliers. And lastly, the rivalry amongst existing competitors. So these are the 5 forces that Michael Porter talks about that an organization needs to evaluate if it is to get it right in formulating and implementing its strategies. That you have to be able to analyze the suppliers, the power of suppliers. To what extent are the suppliers able to drive commodity prices up? What are the essential inputs? To what extent do the suppliers have control over these inputs that they can easily drive prices to the detriment of the company? You want to look at the buyers. Buyers are driven by low prices. That is their ultimate ambition, to be able to obtain goods and services at the lowest price possible. So you need to be able to study your buyers, understand them, and know the kind of buyers you are dealing with, those kind of customers you are dealing with. Thus, before you raise any prices, you ask yourself, what is the chance that they will be able to switch to other suppliers? How powerful are the buyers? If you are the dominant buyer in a given industry, you dictate prices. But if you are mainly small buyers, then the market will self-correct and you will not be able to influence and dictate prices. There is a competitive rivalry that our firm must look at the competition and what they are doing what are the competitors doing? So that as it seeks to roll out maybe product differentiation, it has to ask itself, what are the competitors offering? As it seeks maybe to change prices, it has to ask itself, what are the competitors doing? Key in strategy formulation, according to Michael Porter. There's a threat of substitutes, and especially in industry, if you deal in commodities that have close substitutes, then there's a likelihood of the customers easily switching if you increase prices. So that the presence of substitutes will impact the powers of buyers and will make the market less attractive because there are so many products the customers can access. Therefore, the power of the suppliers is reduced. So as they are making decisions on the products and services and prices they want to roll out, they must ask themselves, are there substitute commodities in this industry? Then there is a threat of new entrants. If the market, the industry is profitable, then it is likely that more entrants can venture in, eroding its profitability. So unless the incumbent firms have control of unique resources that they can dictate and ban entry of new players through patents, through maybe large economies of scale, through government policies, then it becomes dangerous if there is a threat of new entry into the market. So these are the 5 forces that, according to Porter, influences firms in making their decisions in their strategy formulation process. They must be cognizant of what the market is they are operating. Power of suppliers, power of buyers, threat of new entrants, competitors' strategies. Then also we talk about, or rather the rivalry between competitors, threat of substitute products in the market, influencing buying decisions. Question 6A. Stella?
XYZ company is in the process of introducing new changes in its operations. Describe the 5 steps of effective change management.
Introducing new changes in operations is what XYZ wants to do. So you are asked to describe the 5 steps in effective change management. Make an attempt. Steps in effective change management. Haraka, saa yetu imeisha.
Can I try?
Yes, mwalimu.
Good. Just a quick one. When you change management, simply means you are moving away from the old style of management to a new one. So first and foremost, effective communication. Point number 1. Ensure you communicate the change so that you minimize opposition. 2, learning and development. When there's a change, you realize that people have to learn new ideas. For example, if the company was about embracing the old technology, there'll be new technology coming in. So there's a need for learning and development take place. They can mention the 3. I've mentioned the 2.
Anybody else? You must be clear as to define what are the changes you are proposing and the extent to which they are aligned to the goals of the business. That if the change that you are producing is not aligned to the business goals, then we lose out on the objective and import of those changes. You must ask yourself, the changes that we are producing, are they aligned strategically, financially, ethically, etc., to the business? Number 4, you must determine the impact of the proposed changes on the persons to be affected. What are the impact of the changes? Who will the changes affect the most? And how will the changes be received, the proposed changes, be received across the organization? So that you appreciate the proposed changes and how they will cascade downwards across the organization's structure. Then this is a blueprint that then you will use to even plan for training of the other persons so as to appreciate, understand the change and the new dynamics it offers. Then implement a support structure. What kind of support is required if the new changes are to be adopted as part and parcel of what we do in the organization? There may be emotional support that is required. There may be just practical adjustments that need to be made. There may be new behavior that need to be learned or need to be acquired. There may be technical skills that employees need to acquire to be able to cope with the new changes. So you must ask yourself, are there in place support systems and structures that will offer counseling services to help employees navigate the changes, to help employees cope? Do you have mentoring schemes in place? Do you have an open door policy that employees will go to management, ask questions, and they are explained to how the changes proposed will impact on them? Then we'll also have measures. To what extent are we able to evaluate and determine the extent to which the changes have affected, have impacted on business processes? Number 6B, Stella?
Successful organizations use several tools in the selection of their employees. Explain 5 of the selection tools used by organizations.
Selection tools. For an organization to succeed, the examiner is leading you, not just selection tools, but selection tools that will get the organization the right employees that will enable the organization to succeed. So explain 5 selection tools that the organization can use. Recruitment is about attracting prospective candidates to apply for positions in the organization. Once they apply, you want to sieve out and determine the best from the pool of applicants. That process of sieving and determining the best is what we are calling selection. So explain 5 selection tools that an organization can use. Number 1, take us home. Candidates have applied. You've received their applications. So what are the selection tools you use until you get your candidate after receiving applications?
The required qualification.
The required qualification was in the advertisement. So candidates have applied and you have these applications. So what do you use from that point to when you issue your employment contract?
Experience.
Shortlisting of candidates who meet the required qualifications.
You want to be able to shortlist the candidates by matching the candidate's profile to the qualifications of the job. At this point, you'll be screening just to see those who meet your requirements. After shortlisting, the next thing you do is what?
Interview.
Interview. What is the interview? An opportunity for the employees and the organization to interact, to exchange ideas, to learn more about the either party, and then determine the suitability of the candidate for the job that is at hand. You want to interrogate the candidate and whatever they are displaying in their papers. They say they did a diploma in CHRM order the year 2020. You send your experts to or investigators to CHRM to verify that indeed that is the factual truth. Then the next thing, so during that interview, there is that interaction and you're able to gauge more information and determine that this indeed is the right candidate for the job or not. Other than interviews, what else do you use? They select employment tests, the various tests that you can administer to also determine the suitability of the applicants, maybe a proficiency test, maybe the intelligence test, the personality test, the aptitude test, to determine the suitability of the candidates for the role. Once you test, you want to do a medical and physical examination so as to gauge if the employee is medically and physically fit for the role. Then you want to do reference checking and check the background so as to authenticate, to verify whatever is contained in the employee's application. Then you want to assess the skills that the employee has, the technical skills. Do they have the technical skills required to suit the job? So from shortlisting to interview to selection test to reference checking and reference and background checking. Then also we talked about what? Shortlisting, interviews, selection tests, reference and background checks, and medical examination as a primary tools that we use for assessment before you determine that this is the best person for the role. And with that, you have insights as to what the examiner is looking for. The beauty for PPM Part 1, the examiner directs you as to how many points they expect from you. Here we are told 5 selection tools. The other one we are told 5 steps of effective change management, 5 industry forces, 5 principles. Question, clarification? Has it been useful as a session?
Yeah, it has.
Very useful.
But
sorry? Very useful?
Yes.
Mwalimu, a bit of clarity.
Yes, Gladys.
In the last question.
Yes.
Okay, you talked of shortlisting, interview, employment test. Does it not include the intelligence test, aptitude, proficiency?
Yes, now those are the
medical?
tests. Those are the tests. Employment tests, including proficiency test, interview tests, proficiency, aptitude, then you have personality tests.
That interview is a tool.
Sorry, I got disconnected.
Yeah,
Yes.
we picked up, huh?
Yeah?
We picked again.
Yes.
Yeah, it was just clarity for her.
Yes.
That you see, after the applicants, you carry out the selection. Now, I've given an example, there are 20 applicants, and you need only 2 people. So you see, you have to eliminate the 18. Now, that process that will enable you eliminate the 18 and remain with the 20 is what we call the selection. And then what you will do, the procedures you want to follow, like the interview,
to get the
matching
tool.
the skills, those are the tools now. The aptitude test you were talking about. Which one did you say again, Gladys?
Okay, I was saying, okay, maybe the main one I have, this shortlisting, interview, employment test.
Employment test, yeah, those are the tools now.
Okay, and they're supposed to be 5.
Yes.
So I'm wondering.
Reference checking.
Okay.
There is medical and physical examination.
Yeah.
Sorry, umenisikia? Yeah. So the selection, once you have the 100 applications and you're looking for one, how do you have to see from 100 until you have your one candidate? Those tools that you want to use in between are what we'll call selection. So we'll first with shortlisting. Those who do not meet the requirements are eliminated. When you go to interviews, you do a schedule. During the interview, you'll eliminate so many. Wengine wanachelewa, wengine wanafanya nini, you eliminate all of them. You remain with 5 or maybe 20. Then you decide, let me administer some tests, maybe aptitude tests. Indeed, there are organizations that flip it. Once they've shortlisted, they first administer the tests, maybe an aptitude test, to eliminate as many candidates as possible, so they just interview the remaining few. Once you have that, then you can do your background checking and reference checking. Then you can do medical and physical examination. Then you make the job offer. So is the approach that we've adopted today for this paper good, or you want us to change?
What call reference checking? Is it true?
Okay.
Yeah. You know, some people normally deceive, they lie.
Yeah.
That have been operations manager in company ABC, yet it is not.
Okay.
Yes. Mwalimu, we have got you again.
So I was asking, is the approach we have used for this paper adequate, or we change for the next paper? That is what I wanted clarification.
Oh, Mwalimu.
Yes.
Mwalimu. Mwalimu.
Yes.
Yeah, just before they clarify.
Yes.
For purposes of learning, because these are professionals.
Yes.
I've really enjoyed the class. I just want to add something in the last point. The students, currently, there's a change in shortlisting. What companies are doing, they are using what we call human resource information system. It's a software that shortlist, because we normally get even 2,000 applicants. Now, these days, if you get a job, make sure you match the job descriptions with your job duties. For example, you are a manager in a specific company. Look at those descriptions and make sure that your CV, you match with the other one. So the software will eliminate those applicants that descriptions are not matching. That's one secret. If they said 5 years and above experience, make sure you, even if you are less than 5 years and you have others, just place that 5 years and above. You will explain, you will see how to explain in the interview, because the main thing is to appear in the interview. So ensure that don't have one CV. Each job application must have its own CV. Mwalimu can continue. Thank you.
I wanted to add that if you look at, say, the Public Service Commission, nowadays, if they are looking to recruit, say, 800 clerical staff, they may get something close to 50,000 applications. There's just no practical way of shortlisting these if they want to do it manually. So what they do, they use a system. So you key in all your information in the system, and the system will do the shortlisting. That is why you must capture your profile as per the requirements of the job. Then you at least pass and get into the shortlisting stage, and you fight it out with others. Thank you so much. So class, I think we have had a session, unless there's another question.
Yeah, there is somewhere you send of in the question paper.
Sorry, John?
In the question paper, the part B of the question paper, where you see, where you ask to answer any three. Yes. Now, can you mix the A and the B or C in any of that order? I don't know whether you're getting.
If you are doing question 3, question 3 has A, B.
A and B.
Question 4 has A, B.
Yes.
So you cannot decide to say you'll do question 3A and 4B.
Thank you. It's only that I wanted to clarify.
You can do 3A and B or 4A and B. That is why I said select the questions that will yield you the most marks. Don't just start answering, because you can answer and write on all the questions. You'll have some points. But the one you select may not necessarily be the one that will give you the most marks. So that is the one you need to carefully select. So if you're doing question 3, you do AB. If it is 4, AB. If it is 5, AB.
Thank you. I've gotten you.
Okay. So I think we can call it an evening. Thank you for your
Mwalimu, a quick one. Mwalimu, before you call it a day.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Students, I didn't introduce myself. I'm Mr. Jordan Stephen. I'm the Odell manager from CHRM. I was here for purpose of quality assurance. And I want to say that the lesson was good. I've really enjoyed. I even turned to be a student as much as I was quality assurance. And Mwalimu, I want to thank you for the good work and request you that allow me continue attending these lessons, because I'm also learning. And the feedback I'm taking to the college is that the lesson is interesting, the revision is good, and the students has value for their money. Otherwise, thank you very much, students. Feel free to interact with us. We are at your service. Quality is our motto. Thank you very much, Mwalimu.
Asante sana. So Stella, you can call it an evening?
Yes, we can.
Aya, bas. Asanteni sana.
Thank
you. And we meet again next week on Tuesday.
So you'll send the recording, Mariam?
Yes, I'll I'll see how to send it.
Okay, we shall appreciate.
Asante.
Thank you, Mwalimu.
Thank you very much.